Failure is not the opposite of success. It is an essential part of success. Every great victory in history was born from setbacks, obstacles, and disappointments that would have broken ordinary people. Failure is not the end of the road. It is simply a bend in the path that teaches you where not to go. When you stumble and fall, it does not mean you are not capable. It means you are being prepared for something greater. Every rejection, every no, every mistake you make carries within it the seeds of your future success. The question is not whether you will fail, because you will. The real question is whether you will rise again. When you fall, will you see failure as proof you are not good enough, or as proof that you are getting closer to mastery? Each setback is a stepping stone, each mistake is feedback, each defeat is guidance from life itself. Failure whispers to you that you are trying something meaningful, that you are daring to grow. Without failure, there is no resilience, no strength, no greatness. Without failure, there is no story worth telling. So the next time life knocks you down, do not stay down. Stand taller, stronger, and more determined. Because failure is not the end, it is the beginning of your rise. Part 1. The reality of failure. Failure is universal. It touches every single human being on this planet, regardless of wealth, intelligence, or talent. It is not a flaw in the system, it is a feature of growth. Every great inventor, every entrepreneur, every artist you admire has faced repeated setbacks before the world ever saw their success. The people who rise are not the ones who never fail, but the ones who refuse to quit after failure. Resilience is what separates winners from those who give up when things get hard. Consider J.K. Rowling, who faced 12 rejections before Harry Potter was finally published. Each rejection could have crushed her dream, but she refused to let failure define her story. Instead, she chose to see rejection as temporary, not permanent. That is the reality of failure. It is painful, but it is not final. It is frustrating, but it is not fatal. Those who embrace this truth discover that failure is only feedback, and feedback is the most valuable teacher life provides. Failure must not be feared, it must be embraced as part of the process. Think about a child learning to walk, stumbling and falling over and over again. Each fall is not proof that the child will never walk, it is proof that walking requires persistence. Adults forget this simple truth, and every time we fail, we assume we are not meant to continue. But in reality, every failure is a reminder that we are in the process of learning. Every story of achievement is riddled with moments of self-doubt, disappointment, and rejection. The difference is that winners use these moments as motivation to rise higher, while others use them as reasons to stop. If you want to achieve anything significant in life, you must accept the reality of failure as a companion on the road to success. Part 2. Why failure is a stepping stone. Failure is not punishment, it is feedback, a mirror showing you where to adjust. Every mistake teaches you something new, something that cannot be learned in books or classrooms. Failure reveals weaknesses so that you can strengthen them. It exposes blind spots so you can gain clarity. It builds patience and humility, two qualities that no success story can do without. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed, I have just found 10,000 ways that will not work." What others saw as failure, he saw as progress. Each failed attempt was not wasted time, it was a necessary step toward the invention of the light bulb. In the same way, your failures are not dead ends, they are building blocks toward your eventual success. When you shift your mindset and see failure as part of the process, your entire outlook changes. You stop asking why me and start asking what can I learn? Every rejection letter, every failed business, every missed opportunity becomes fuel instead of shame. Failure teaches you resilience, it teaches you persistence, and it teaches you that success is never instant. It is built brick by brick, failure by failure, lesson by lesson. Without those failures, the foundation of success would be weak, unstable, and destined to crumble. But with them, success becomes unshakable. Failure is not the enemy of growth, it is the training ground for greatness. Part 3. Stories of Resilience. Look at Steve Jobs, who was fired from Apple, the very company he co-founded. Most people would have crumbled under the humiliation, but Jobs used failure as a springboard. He built new companies, honed his vision, and years later returned to Apple to lead it to global dominance. Failure was the painful but necessary chapter in his story that allowed him to build something legendary. Michael Jordan, widely regarded as the greatest basketball player of all time, was once cut from his high school basketball team. That failure fueled his hunger, drove his discipline, and pushed him to practice harder than anyone else. He later said, "I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." Oprah Winfrey was rejected from her first television job and told she was unfit for TV. She could have believed that verdict and quit, but instead she transformed her setback into strength. Today, she is one of the most influential women in media history. These stories show us a clear pattern. Failure is temporary, resilience is permanent. The common thread is not that these people avoided failure, but that they embraced it, learned from it, and kept moving forward. Resilience is what transforms failure into fuel. Without resilience, failure defeats you. With resilience, failure defines you in the best possible way. Part 4. Mindset shifts for bouncing back. The way you think about failure determines whether it destroys you or develops you. Start by reframing failure. Instead of seeing it as a loss, see it as a lesson. Ask yourself, what did this experience teach me that I could not have learned otherwise? This single shift changes failure from something to fear into something to welcome. Next, detach your ego from the outcome. You are not your failure. You are not defined by one event or one mistake. Failure is something that happens to you, not who you are. The moment you separate your identity from your outcomes, you free yourself to keep trying without shame. Embrace iteration as part of the journey. Understand that every attempt, whether successful or not, brings you closer to mastery. Visualize success even while you are surrounded by failure. See yourself on the other side of the struggle because the vision fuels the courage to continue. Great achievers are not those who never fall, but those who keep standing up with a mindset that sees every failure as a stepping stone. When you train your mind to see failure differently, you stop running from it and start running toward the lessons it provides. Part 5. Practical steps to recover and rise. Failure can be overwhelming if you do not know how to respond. But there are practical steps you can take. First, reflect. Take time to understand what went wrong instead of rushing to the next thing. Reflection gives you clarity and prevents repeated mistakes. Second, plan. Adjust your strategy without abandoning your dream. Failure is often a sign that your approach needs fine-tuning, not that your vision is wrong. Third, act. Move forward with renewed determination and a better informed strategy. Do not let failure freeze you in place because inaction is the real enemy. Fourth, seek support. Surround yourself with mentors, friends, and allies who can provide perspective and encouragement. Often others can see lessons in your failure that you cannot. Finally, celebrate small wins. Every step forward, no matter how small, rebuilds confidence. Progress is not always massive leaps. Sometimes it is tiny steps that add up over time. Practical recovery after failure is not about pretending it never happened, but about using it as fuel to rise higher. Each recovery makes you stronger, wiser, and more unstoppable than before. Fall 7 times and stand up 8. Take every setback as a lesson and every rejection as preparation. Understand that each mistake is shaping you into the person capable of handling the success you are chasing. Do not quit when it gets hard, because the breakthrough you want might be just beyond the failure you are facing. Remember that winners are not the people who never fail, they are the people who never stay down. Failure is not your enemy, fear of failure is. Once you let go of the shame of failing, you unlock the power to try again and again until you succeed. Every no is leading you to a yes. Every closed door is pushing you toward the open one waiting for you. Keep moving, keep trying, keep learning, because your future depends on your resilience, not your perfection. Success is built on the bricks of failure, and each time you fall, you are laying another brick toward your skyscraper. Do not let this be the moment you give up. Let this be the moment you rise again. Your journey is not over, it is only beginning. And failure is proof that you are still on the path. So rise up, stay hungry, and keep pushing forward. And if this message lit a fire inside you, then make sure to like this video, subscribe for more powerful motivation, and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Because together we rise and together we win. Together we win.